Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Haid, and I'm the manager at Sherwood Branch. And here at Sherwood, we have a tech hub where we offer a variety of technologies for use. And we have a certification series of programs that will allow you to learn about the safety and use of these machines so that you can operate them on your own time during operating hours at the library. So this particular video will walk you through the Cricut. And I'm going to show you a brief presentation, and I'm also going to show you some live demonstrations of the Cricut Maker 3 that we have here at Sherwood. We also have the Cricut Explorer that we offer here as well. So just a little bit about the hub itself. We have a variety of technologies, as I mentioned. And what we're going to do is just a kind of a quick overview of what they are. And the very first thing that I must mention before I go over all of the various devices and things is we are constantly building the tech hub. So even while you're watching this video, we may have added more technology in that time frame. And the reason for it is because technology is always evolving. So right now, currently, as I'm recording this, we have our Bamboo 3D printer, and we offer an intro to 3D printing design with a free software that's called Tinkercad. We also offer, in addition to this Cricut Maker program, a run through of our Cricut heat press and our Cricut mug press. And the mug press, as well as the sublimation program that we have, focus on the Epson sublimation printer that we have for use at the Tech Hub. And one thing that's not actually mentioned in this slide is that we also have a sewing machine that you can come and use at your own will upon certification. So what does certification look like? Basically, you take a class at the library. We offer sewing programs. We don't offer them in-house. We offer them in partnership with some of our local partners. And one of them is Help a Girl Out, and they offer a really fantastic enriched program that teaches you how to use the sewing machine, all the basic elements and whatnot, by developing a pad, a menstrual pad that can be donated to women in our community in need. And it's a really lovely thing. They try to combat all of the stigma and all of the negativity that's surrounding the period. And they also talk about period poverty and things of that nature. And you can just learn a great skill while you're going to that program. We have some others, and they'll be changing just like the Tech Hub as things evolve. But that is what you would take for certification in that. This particular program, what I'm walking you through today and the slideshow is a Cricut certification program that you can sign up for. We offer it every quarter here at the library. It is in rotation with all of the other certification programs. That includes the Tech Hub mug press, as well as the sublimation certification. And so you can choose a date that works for you based on our calendar. Once you take that class, we will put a note on your library card that indicates you have taken it and you're thus certified in the use of that machine. There isn't really any skill testing test of any sort. But what we want to do is just make sure that you're aware of all the good uses of the machine that you're operating. So we make sure that if you have any follow-up needs, you can take another of the same course. You can go through all the same motions, and you can also refer to this video if you need a refresher. The Cricut Design Space is a software that Cricut speaks to. The Cricut machine speaks to that software, so it uses whatever the design element in that space is to print or to cut onto their machine, from their machine. So I'm going to be walking you through that space a little bit today. You will need to sign up for an account. The account is free to sign up for, but if you don't want to create your own account, you can use a generic account that we've created, and these are the credentials for it. Now, this video, this particular presentation, will also be printed for you and in a kit at the library should you choose to come and use the Cricut machine. And you can find this all written out in that kit. Now, when you choose your image, what are you choosing? Well, you want to make sure you're choosing an image that's not copywritten, that doesn't seem to be unsafe or harmful or dangerous to anyone, that's not obscene, so in otherwise it should be appropriate, and that it's not in violation of another's intellectual property rights. When you come in to learn all about this technology, you'll be asked to fill out an MPL technology waiver. And it looks something like this. It may change in time, but basically it's just indicating that this technology has some safety elements that you should be aware of. And in this particular case, when it comes to the Cricut, there is a small blade that is inserted in the machine. It is very difficult to snag yourself on it, but if you do, there's the chance of a paper cut cut, and we just want you to be aware of that. Other things that could happen is you want to make sure you're not wearing any loose clothing around your Cricut. It is on a conveyor-like belt, so it can draw in loose clothing accidentally. If that happens, there could be a little pull. It could be discomforting. Nothing severe has ever been reported, but we just wanted you to be aware of that tendency and try to avoid wearing loose clothing. The Cricut machine will stop. It does have a safety mechanism in it if anything like that happens, a clog or a snag of some sort. When you're setting everything up for your Cricut, what you're going to do is you'll come to the library, you'll inform that you've taken this course. You'll have to come to the in-person course and sign the waiver. And then we have a note on your account and we'll check to make sure that, we'll cross-reference and make sure that you have that certification. We also will retrieve the elements that you need to use the Cricut. And with a $5 charge, we will give you a kit that has all of the following. You may also just pick and choose items from the kit to use depending on the project. And those are all broken down in different dollar amounts. You can ask for a full list of the dollar amounts for things when you come to the library. But the basic kit is $5. It includes one paper sheet or a vinyl sheet or a sticker paper. Those are all interchangeable. We give you a mouse, a keyboard to access the iMac computer, where you can also access the Cricut Design Space. There is an adapter that will click into the USB cord for the Cricut that goes into the iMac, and that's what's pictured here. And everything gets plugged into the back of the iMac screen. So you can see that we're at the indication A, B, C. We have our mouse, our keyboard, and our adapter. We also will give you one Cricut mat, depending on your project. There's a variety of different mats that we offer, and the most standard is the standard, which is this green color here. We also have a blue, and the blue represents a light mat. So what's the difference between the regular and the light? Basically, if you're using just a regular cardstock, you're going to use a regular or standard green mat. If you're using a tissue paper or a paper itself, a lighter material, you're going to use the light mat. We also have one for thicker cardboard, which is called strong, and it's indicated with a purple color. And finally, if you're ever deciding to do any cutting with fabric, we have a fabric mat as well. So fabric cutting could involve any kind of quilting that you want to do an intricate design out of fabric and then make it into a quilting project. Really, the possibilities are endless, but the possibility is there. Now, the other things that we'll have are the Cricut tools themselves. We have a pick, we have scissors, we have tweezers. There's a variety of different tools, and depending on your project, you will have access to those. The pick is the most popular. It will help remove all of those little pesky vinyl pieces or paper pieces that are left behind on your mat. The mat is a sticky surface, and they're covered with a protective sheet. You peel the sheet away, and underneath you'll have your sticky surface. And so the tools are used to remove any excess materials after you've done your cut. Now, the Cricut Maker itself, of course, will also be offered. You have the choice between the Explorer and the Maker 3. The only difference between them is that the Explorer offers this dial. If you can see it, the dial at in the one picture on your screen, and the dial turns to different project materials. So cardstock, light cardstock, material, fabric. You can choose your dial when you're doing your project. You can still choose what material you'll be using with the Cricut Maker 3, but you're going to do that by selecting it on your screen within the design space. Now, also within the kit is going to be the instruction sheet with a QR code that leads to this video. Now, if you ever have a project that you want to do and you're not sure how to execute it, and you think you might need external materials that aren't provided in the kit or at the hub, we don't normally allow for external materials, but say you want to take on some interesting project, you can always email me and I can look to see if that can be made possible. If you're looking to just simply cut something out of the cardstock, you can pay for $1 for that cardstock sheet that we offer, as well as $2 for the use of the Cricut machine for a total of $3. You pay for this when you come to the desk to ask to use the Tech Hub, and then our staff here will help get you set up. That might include getting the sheet or getting the kit, and of course the technology. So once you have everything you need and you've plugged it all in, you can access Cricut Design Space through the iMac computers that we provide. You may also look to connect your own computer if that helps you, but the recommendation is, of course, our iMacs because they are already connected to the Cricut printers or cutters. What you're going to do once you've accessed your design space, and as I mentioned, it's a free account that you can develop on your own and then sign into it on our iMac, or you can use our existing standard login. You're going to then search for an object that you want cut. Now you can do this by typing in the search engine within the space a particular thing. It's almost Halloween the time that I'm recording this video. So I decided, if you can look at the back screen behind me, that I was going to do a Halloween themed cut of some sort. So this is where I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to give you a better view of what's behind me. So I have the Cricut Maker 3 right here, and behind me on the large screen, I have the Canva, sorry, I keep saying Canva, but it's the Cricut Design Space. And if I just can pull your attention to, we have one of our iMacs set up here. I'm just going to walk you through a few elements that are indicated on the screen. It's not the best quality, but I will try my best to walk you through this. So what you're going to do first off is over to the right of your, or the left of your screen, you're going to have a drop-down menu to filter certain elements. And I want free elements specifically. I mean, you can always look to purchase elements, but it's never recommended. And then what you can do is you can search whatever element that you're looking for. So I wanted Halloween specifically, but if I wanted more specifically a pumpkin, I can just simply do that search in by clicking and then typing in the element that I'm looking to do. Once I've done that, I'm going to then click on an image that is of my interest. I love this pumpkin, so I'll give it a click and then I'll add it to my canvas. So I'm going to see on my canvas a variety of different materials here. I've clicked some ghosts, that pumpkin that I just showed you, a few bats. I've duplicated all of these. Now, how do you do that? You're going to right click and then you can press duplicate, and it will duplicate as many pumpkins as you want, as many times. I've decided to go with a few pumpkins, a couple, I guess, ghosts here, quite a few bats. So I'm going to go to my Make button here. I'm going to show you that it's already clicked on Basic Cut. You can make this into a pen drawing if you want and select the pen tool, but I just want to do a cut with this particular project. So I'm going to deselect that. I'm going to make sure I select my Basic Cut. And I like the way everything looks with that Basic Cut element, and just click on Make. Here I'll be prompted to click that I'm going to be cutting on a mat, those mats that I showed you, confirm, and then you'll show that there's been a configuration of some of those designs that I duplicated on the mat. And if I scroll through, I'll see that there's actually a second mat where some of them were placed onto as a default. Now, I feel that there's still some room on this first mat to really maximize the vinyl or the cardboard that cardstock I'll be using. So I'm going to go to the second mat. I'm going to click on my bat. I'll click on the three icons and I'll say move object. And I want to move it to the first mat. So you can see at the very top of the screen, the bat has been placed, but it's overlapping one of my pumpkins. So I'm just going to click it and hold and drag. I'll drag it to the very bottom of my screen. And I can see if I do this, it's still going to overlap with one of my bats. So I'm going to use this other button to the right that's like an arrow, a circular arrow. Click on it, hold, and then tilt my bat in place so that it's really maximizing that space. I like the way everything looks here, so I'm going to press continue. Once it's doing this, I will be asked or prompted to select my material, and I'm using, in this particular case, medium cardstock. So once I click on that, it prompts me to do a variety of different things. The first is to load my material. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's not the easiest to show while I'm holding my computer and walking you through all of this, but let's just do it together as best we can. So I have a whole bunch of Halloween-based cardstock that I think will work really great for this project. I just got this from the dollar store actually. You could find some really great material there, but you can also go to your local craft store and purchase away. If you're doing this at home, of course. Now we have a variety of these things offered at the Tech Hub already, and you're welcome to sift through and choose your own appropriate cardstock and paper. And if you do purchase on your own, you really want to do a certain project, like I said, just reach out to me. So I've picked this particular pattern, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just simply take one of those mats that I was showing you. In this particular case, it will be the standard green mat, and I'm going to tear away the film on the top. I'm then going to take my paper and I'll place it in the perfect grid size of that standard sheet, just like this. Now, some people have said, well, I can't find paper, or the Tech Hub doesn't have paper that looks this exact square size. And that's okay. The grid that's shown on this back mat is one where you can determine how much space that paper is taking up, and you can restrict the objects that are on your mat to that specific grid if you're wanting to. Now, you saw in my last reflection of the Cricut design space that it is going to take up the full mat space, and that's really maximizing the project for me, but I could have restricted it just to a certain grid shape and size. So the next step is to then feed this into my Cricut machine. Now the Cricut has on the top here what look like little teeth, and I'm going to thread the mat into it. Now I'm going to show you what that looks like just by bringing this closer, and you can see in this video there's two little white looking slits here where the paper can go right into. I call those the teeth. Now that they're in, you're going to push till you can't go any further. Don't push too hard, but push enough. And then if you look at the top of this machine here, it has a flashing button. It's a flashing arrow. And if I click on that, the machine is going to now just carry the mat into it. And it's just sizing up the mat now. Okay, and now that that's done, or just about, it's now going to have a flashing play button. And I can just press play because I'm ready to go, as I know that the material I need is in place. In the B clamp, I have the existing standard blade and will never be out of this clamp, so it's good. That's all I need for cutting. And in the A clamp, if I were doing a drawing like I showed you, I can insert one of the pens. Now I have a pen here. This has to be a Cricut pen. If you remove the cap, you open the clamp and you click it in place, just like so. Put your clamp back. You are good to start with the drawing tool if that's the icon you selected for this project. It isn't for this particular cut, so I'm going to remove it. Now I'm going to press the play button and we get to see this guy in action. And it will continue on this way. Now, if you can see to the back of my screen here, it says that we are about 50% completed in the cut. And it will tell me when the cut is complete if I'm not also listening to the workings back and forth of the blade. It's usually a very simple and easy process that goes by fairly quickly. If you're using the marker to draw on certain shapes, it will take a little longer. And if you're doing a marker and cut, so drawing on, but also cutting around an image, it will take a slightly, probably 2 times as long. But for the most part, this machine is actually pretty quick in executing whatever it is that you're asking it to do. Other things that it does, it can score. There's a scoring tool. So instead of inserting a marker, you can insert the scoring tool, which looks very similar to a marker. And it will allow you to, say if you're making a paper airplane, it would cut around the perimeter of the plane, but then also score all the lines that you need to fold the perfect airplane. So there's so many different things that this particular machine can do. And it's really all about your imagination and how far you want to take it. I'm going to go back to our presentation and just show you that after you've plugged in your machine, and I've kind of shown you already what it looked like after the plugin execution was in play. You're of course going to always make sure your on button is on, which is at the very top of the machine. But once you're in your design space for Cricut Design, you can also increase the size of your object, whatever object it is that you've chosen, by clicking on the perimeter, and a rectangle will show up. And then you can click one of the corners where a square shows, and you can click and drag to make that object larger if you want. You can also add text to a particular object. That jack-o'-lantern, I could have wrote Happy Halloween if I wanted, and you would click on this text icon to include that. Other things you can do is once you add an object, you can also toggle back and forth, again, by clicking the side that you're hoping to toggle, holding, and then moving it to whatever side it is through the arrow icon that appears. You can, as I mentioned, click what kind of operation you want. So if you're wanting to do the pen instead of, you want to draw the jack-o'-lantern instead of cutting out the shape of the jack-o'-lantern, you can do that by clicking the pen, the draw, and then the pen icon here, as you see. Now, you can make the design element, you can change the font of the word or the name that you're inserting on your object. You can allow it to be cut out if you wanted. You can allow the pen to draw that word on, or that whatever that text is if you're wanting to do that. So you can do 2 different functions. You can do a cut function for some things, and you can do a drawing function for another thing. All you will need to do is whatever that thing is, if it's the text that you're wanting to have drawn, you click on the text, you go to your operation, and you make sure that it's clicked on draw. And if you're wanting to cut out in this case, the bookmark that you see on your screen, then you'll simply click on the bookmark, the perimeter of it will appear, and make sure you then select the basic cut icon. As I showed you in the last time, if you're wanting to just go ahead and print a simple design that's already placed within Canva or within Cricut for your own use. You can do that by not doing much adjustment to it at all. But if you are adding a text, you will want to make sure you highlight both the bookmark in this case and the text, and then you click the attach button at the bottom right-hand corner to make sure that the machine knows, or the design software knows, those two things go together. If you don't do that, the name or the lettering will appear on a different mat, and the bookmark will be on a separate mat altogether. So they won't be considered one of the same. You need to make sure that they're attached. When you're ready, you click the Make button, and the rest is what you've already saw with my previous demonstration. Now, here is an example of where a 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock doesn't quite fit the whole grid of your Cricut mat, but that's okay. If you can see the bookmark that I'm trying to cut and also draw, it will only be in the right corner, and that's covered by my cardstock. I'm going to make sure, of course, that whatever it is that I'm doing, if I am loading the marker, this is the clamp I'm using, clamp A, and clamp B will always have your basic blade. Now, if you're looking to cut fabric, there's a special fabric blade that needs to be used, and that's the only really other time you're going to be at the Tech Hub interchanging the blade, unless you have a different project that you're looking to have permission to do. So here are some more images of how to secure and click in your marker and to load your sheet. And this is using our other Cricut Maker, which is the Cricut Explorer. As I mentioned, the difference between the Cricut Explorer and the Cricut Maker 3 is that you have to turn the dial on the Cricut Explorer to the material you'll be using. So we'll have to make sure that it's clicked on cardstock here, and then you will load your mat using the flashing arrow button. And then in this case, instead of a play button for the Cricut Explorer, you're going to click the Cricut C button. And then here, there's just some images of how the Cricut, if both doing a drawing and a cutting, will do the drawing first and the cut after. Once the project is complete, the Cricut will release your mat, and to release it all the way, you're going to click the arrow button again. Now, here's the fun part. This is where you get to peel away your product, whatever it is that you created. So the key here is to try to peel the mat and the material away from one another. And I'm going to show you that with this particular cut that we just did. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and I'm going to simply show you what has come out of the Cricut Maker. I'm going to press the flashing button, the arrow button, and what has come out is what looks to your vision right now as just to be the same paper. But if I peel away the mat from the cardstock, both in different directions, you'll start to slowly see the shapes that are appearing. So you'll see some jack-o'-lanterns, you'll see some ghosts, you'll see some bats that are out of that Halloween cardstock. Now, to get these particular pieces off, you can use the pick as I was describing. It's also referred to as a slew of different things. But I'm going to go back to my slideshow to kind of go over the full gamut of all of the tools that the Cricut machine does offer through, what we offer, I guess, through the Tech Hub. So the various ones, and the ones that you're most likely will be using, will be the pick. But we also have a spatula, which you can see here. It does lever up the material in a bit of a more efficient way. And also, if you can see in this photo, we have tweezers and we have a scoring tool. Now, when you're using other materials, so we just used an example of cardstock. Vinyl is another very popular tool that you can use with Cricut, and you use this when you're wanting to create a stencil, or if you're wanting to iron on a vinyl onto, say, a tote bag. You can do all of that through the Cricut as well. And it's basically the exact same functions that we just went through. You would follow steps 1 through 3. Instead of paper cutting, you're going to choose to do vinyl if it's the dial on your Explorer, your Cricut Explorer, or you're going to click vinyl on the option that you have for the Cricut Maker 3 once you're in the design space. Now, when you're making a cut out of your stencil, so say I wanted to write the name Alex on this bear, I want to subtract that particular text from the bear. I want to remove it from the bear so that it becomes a stencil. So if I were to paint over it, for example, the perimeter of the bear would show and Alex would show as well. So I want to subtract, take it away. So instead of clicking attach, like we did with the paper, the difference here is we're going to click subtract in the bottom right-hand corner under our combine button. And when you do that, you'll see that the materials will all be subtracted from the vinyl itself, removed from the vinyl. And you would pick those all apart after they're printed. So this shows you that I've put a vinyl piece. It looks very similar to the cardstock, but of course it's vinyl. And you're going to thread it through the same way. And here I've used my scissor tool. I've used the pick to remove the lettering. And I have my stencil to work with. Other things that we've done with the Cricut machine here at Milton Public Library is we've created the cute adult advent calendar project last year where we made little boxes, and those were made possible through the scoring tool. And another tool that I have not yet talked about is this scraping tool that you can use to really remove all these little small bits that are found left behind on your mat. Now, finally, we have a sticker paper option, and it's all the same steps as what I've gone through. When you're making a sticker, though, you're going to want to really focus on the drawing tool, and the cutting tool for the perimeter of your sticker. In this case, I've chosen a cute image that I'd like to have drawn onto the sticker paper, and then I've clicked on the circle icon as the cut shape for my perimeter. When you put those two things together, you want to make sure that you're attaching them so that they're one whole. And then you want to make sure that before you attach them, you're clicking on the perspective operation. So one is the drawing tool and one is the cutting tool. Once you've done that, you can click and drag and make them longer or larger if you'd like. You can even do this after you've clicked on the make button and you're in the final stages. And finally, you're going to load your sticker paper just like you loaded your cardstock paper, and it will come in an 8.5 by 11 sheet, just like the cardstock in the previous example. Once you've loaded, you're going to load the exact same way as the other functions. And then you'll see here that you have a beautiful customized sticker that you can peel away. Now, some folks do end up using, we have the ability to make sure that you can use different elements to secure these stickers so that you have a shiny plastic film over top. And what some folks have done is they've bought some dollar store film that you can place over top, sticky film that you can place over top. Or we also have our, oh, I can't remember what the function is. My goodness, it will come to me in just a minute. So we're going to leave this presentation for a moment, and as I stop my viewing, I'm going to now show you my piece of paper here. So when I peel away the outer layer of the jack-o'-lantern, you can see it appears, and what's left behind are some of the pieces that I just want discarded. And this you can do with your scraper, or you can do it with your pick. Whatever is best used for whatever's easiest for you to clean off. So I want to thank you so very much for suffering through this video with me as I've rambled through, as I've tried to work away with my screen and show you how to allow for the different functions of the Cricut. I hope you've learned something. I hope that you found it is quite accessible. And I do hope that you sign up for one of our programs or come in to use the Tech Hub on your own time. Please feel free to reach out to me. And that function's still escaping me, but it's a machine. It's a function that we have at the library. It allows you to heat film onto paper. What is it called? Anyway, find me next time and we'll talk about it. Thanks everyone for listening, and I will see you the next time. Bye for now.